everyone says, write what you know. And I know that like the back of my hand. And so I knew that I needed to do that. On top of that, I joined a Facebook support group for women with PMDD. And that has been so eye-opening for me because it's 30,000 women. We all have this and we all have a range of symptoms and we're all going through it at different times, so we're not on the same cycles. It's all staggered. So one person is right in the mix of it. The other person just got out of it. And we're kind of uplifting each other, sharing like the darkest, funniest memes and jokes and just kind of laughing at just this misery. And that is kind of what inspired me to make the dark comedy, because I felt like that had helped me get through the dark times, just laughing with other women about it. And then I decided, you know what? I don't want to make a PSA. I don't want to make something that's overtly kind of just thrown in your face and about facts and statistics. I wanted to make something that was relatable.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Everything's Okay, a mental health podcast brought to you by Crazy Ant Media. Today, we're going to be talking about premenstrual dysphoric disorder, also known as PMDD, and this is a condition that goes beyond the boundaries of typical PMS symptoms. Joining us is Mirejah Cruz, the talented writer, producer, and star of a short film titled Hell Week. Now, this film tackles the often overlooked subject of PMDD, shedding light on the individual struggles and the individual endure of these symptoms. So we're super excited to have you on the show and talk about this and just expose it to a wider audience, because there's so many things that go on in a woman's day-to-day life that I feel like don't necessarily get talked about. So we love giving women a platform to talk about these type of things. And I watched your film this morning with my fiance, and she's like, yep, sounds about right. That is exactly what I go through. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped to have a conversation about it.
Yeah. And I can attest, because his fiance is my daughter. So I was like many years of dealing with. So good luck, buddy. That's all I'm saying. No. But
no.
Yeah. So we are excited though, because typically, and we were taking some ribbing and everything. It's like you don't think about two guys sitting down and talking about PMS, right? And right. So we always love the opportunity to have these conversations and open it to a broader audience and say, hey, look, we all go through some things, and while we don't suffer from it, we might be dealing with it because somebody we love is suffering from it, and so we always like to have these conversations and open that door to a wider audience and say, hey, look, you can probably relate to this in some way or another. So doing our research, I saw that you actually suffer from the disorder, that you were diagnosed. Talk about that. What was it like prior to being diagnosed, and where were you at with that struggle going, what is going on with me? What was that like?
Yeah, that was a tough time for sure. I really didn't know what was going on, and I really was not paying attention to like the timing of it. I just felt off. I knew there were changes happening, and at the time I was in a relationship. So I was super young, living in New York with my boyfriend, and we both were noticing it. And he was the one that actually was like, it seems to happen around the same time. And I was like, no, like you're just, scrapping it up to PMS, like you're just throwing like, a Band-Aid over it. But he was right. And I did my own research and I discovered PMDD, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. So I went to the doctor and she was like, okay, what are your symptoms? We went through a whole tracking thing. And then I really paid attention to it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I have this. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, goodness. Yeah. And I mean, as someone because with it being a mental health podcast, we have talked about our struggles with depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts and things like that. So I know you addressed it in the film, to have this happen around 25% of the time, that's a lot. And I mean, to be able to go through this on basically a monthly basis, I just, after identifying, what tools do you use to try to keep yourself in a mental happy space, keep your mental sanity? Because I can feel the intensity when, you know, my fiance is going through this time of the month, and it's just something that it brings her down. She doesn't really feel motivated to do a lot of things.
Mhm.
We were talking about it this morning, and she was saying, yeah, Taco Bell, that's my jam. That's always that's what I endure. That's what I crave every single time. So, I mean, what do you do to try to keep yourself mentally happy during this time?
It's really important, honestly, what I do outside of that time. So the other
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks are the times that I need to really make sure that I'm on top of my health and my
Mm.
fitness. And those are the things that I realized if I work on consistently, that I have a better time during that time of the month. So if I'm drinking too much, if I'm eating too much sugar, if I'm not working out, then when it comes to that time, it's terrible. But the symptoms are still there. They're just a little bit lessened if I'm taking care of myself. And also it's really just who I'm surrounded by too. If
Mm.
I'm in healthy relationships, if I'm, in a spot where I should be, then it's better. But if I'm not, and if I'm in maybe a toxic relationship, it comes out a lot more.
Mm.
So that's interesting, because I wanted to go back, because I thought it was very interesting about how the boyfriend figured it out before you did. And
Yeah.
so that was interesting how you were just kind of like pushing it off, going, no, that can't be it. I'm not, kind of like because I would imagine when you have this disorder and you are trying to start new relationships, that can be pretty challenging, because I just know as a guy, whenever the wife has it, or whenever like anybody, you're walking on eggshells, because you don't know, is it going to be a good day, a bad day? If I say something wrong, am I going to get attacked? And that's just normal PMS. So
Yeah.
with this, did you find it and first of all, kudos to the boyfriend, right? Because he was clearly able to deal with it and kind of figure it out and go, hey, let me help you. Let's find out what's going on. But I would imagine that maybe there were some others that were like, what the fuck? This woman is crazy. Why am I in this? Get the hell out of here. So talk
Yeah.
about the challenges of that, because like I said, I think that it's not always the person that has it that is also dealing with it. It's the other people in her life and different things. So talk about the challenges of that. Was it difficult to keep a boyfriend? Were you pissing the family off? What was it like before you knew?
Yeah. So, fortunately in my family, so my mom she actually has it.
Okay.
So my family has been so supportive, and they're used to it, and they kind of know how to work with it, right? They're like, okay, she needs space, or she needs attention, or they really are there for me and can really tend to my needs. But yeah, dating someone who's not used to that, especially if it's, in the early stages of dating, they don't really necessarily feel like they have to deal with it, and they don't. So that's been really tough. I kind of realize what I need now. I need like certain men that can balance me out, because there are men that really want to challenge it, or they, kind of are more instigators when it comes to that, instead of, okay, yep, I understand it's not you. I know you need to calm down, and they can recognize that it's truly not me, and I'm out of control when it comes to that time. So it's really just the kind of guy that can handle that. And I'm very upfront, because I feel like,
Yeah.
one, it's not fair. It's not fair that they have to deal with that. And it's something that's unavoidable. So I'm very aware of that. And I want to let them know this is what you're getting into. But they kind of think it's just an exaggeration, and they don't really understand it until it happens. And then it catches them off guard. And I'm like, I told you this was going to happen. And they're like, oh, okay. And some men are like, okay, great. Now I know, and I can deal with it the next month. Others are just very combative when it comes to that. And they don't, because I really, during that time of the month, if I'm in a relationship, I bring up, fights from the past. I kind of can be argumentative. I really stir the pot. And that's not fair.
No.
But some people don't really, they can't see the disorder. They just see me, and they just think that I'm trying to sabotage the relationship. So I've kind of learned to navigate, okay, this kind of guy can deal with it. This kind of guy won't, or will make it a lot worse for me.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's unfair to you first and foremost, because that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I always talk about, there's so many. I'm sure there's a lot of qualities that I see, but there are more underneath the layers that men don't see. But I mean, I always say I'm so thankful that I'm a man because I feel so bad for everything that y'all have to go through, because it is a lot. And I mean, there's a lot of extra pressure and a lot of extra unnecessariness, like misogyny and all of these different things, outside factors that come in. So I feel like, kudos to you for being able to have the strength to figure out, what is this? What do I need to identify and figure out how to move forward and how to adapt? Because life in general, you already have to adapt to so many things that you cannot control. And now you're just like, all right, let's just add it to the list. Fuck. But I'm just so like, I'm curious too, because, and I've talked extensively with other partners that I've had in the past and with my fiance about the progression of the menstrual cycle, right? So when you first started off in like your beginning process with puberty, and then to where you are now, is there an acceleration at a certain point in time, or does it start there at the very beginning and then just kind of work its way up? Or how did that plan out?
It's different for everyone. For me, it didn't start happening until I was probably 20 or 21 that I was noticing it. So, and that, I started my period when I was like probably 13 or 12. So it's like, that's a huge gap of time where you think, oh, I'm good.
Right.
You just have to deal with the bloating and the cravings. But yeah, this came out a lot later in life for me. And I was just kind of taken aback and completely just unaware that that was even a thing. It was never talked about in schools. It was never talked about even going to the doctor, like, hey, this is something you should be aware of. I really did not even know it existed until I got the diagnosis.
So, yeah, and so that's interesting. And then I want to kind of like, this question is coming directly from something that I saw in the film, that I was like, do you have the opposite side? You said you have the guys that are like, thanks for being, upfront, but I'm out of here. Fuck that. Like, kind of a thing. Did you ever experience where the guy was the complete opposite and too overbearing, too caring, trying to figure out how to take care of you and what he can do, and then questioning all the time whether he was doing something wrong? Because I would imagine that that's probably just as annoying as the guy that can't accept it, right? Right? Like, sometimes I just need my fucking space, back off, like, kind of a thing. Did you experience that as well?
I've experienced the guys that are like, giving me boxes of chocolates and, tampons and thinking, oh, this is going to help everything. And it's like, that's sweet, but that's really not how it works. Because I really, in that moment, I don't know what I want. Sometimes I do want space. Sometimes I want someone right there. So it's really hard. There's no right way to handle it and to go about it. But I prefer that over like the other extreme. So I'm like, okay, pick your poison, but I have experienced that. Yeah. And it's cute and it's endearing, but it's like, dude, that's no.
Yeah. I think the most important thing though is that when you're upfront, right? You lay this out. If you're getting into a relationship, you're like, here's the whole ball. Here's what you're getting. I think that's so critically important, because I think sometimes, especially since this disorder does cause things like anxiety and the depression and the different types of mood swings and different things, I feel like a lot of people might be ashamed of that and try to hide it, as opposed to, hey, this is what I got, here it is, kind of a thing. So kudos to you for not going the other direction and being shamed by it and trying to hide it, because I think that would bring about even more problems, trying to go into a relationship where you're trying to hide and you don't disclose what's wrong and what's going on. So let's talk about the film a little bit, Hell Week. Is this why the motivation behind the film? It's like there's probably so many women out there, or young women out there, that don't even know they have this, and they think they're all alone, and maybe they are ashamed, and maybe they are having these thoughts about what's wrong with them. Why am I going through this? Was that the motivation to make this film and go, hey, you're not alone. Here's what it is. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it was something that I guess I knew I wanted to make a film. I had just moved to LA. I knew I wanted to make a short film. I didn't really know what I wanted to make it about at first. And then the idea came to me and I was like, oh man, I really do not want to do this. Like, I really do not, because I was like, I would be exposing myself. Everybody would know Mirejah has PMDD. And that was super, super vulnerable, but everyone says, write what you know. And I know that like the back of my hand. And so I knew that I needed to do that. On top of that, I joined a Facebook support group for women with PMDD. And that has been so eye-opening for me because it's 30,000 women. We all have this, and we all have a range of symptoms, and we're all going through it at different times, so we're not on the same cycles. It's all staggered. So one person is right in the mix of it. The other person just got out of it. And we're kind of uplifting each other, sharing like the darkest, funniest memes and jokes, and just kind of laughing at just this misery. And that is kind of what inspired me to make the dark comedy, because I felt like that had helped me get through the dark times, just laughing with other women about it. And then I decided, you know what? I don't want to make a PSA. I don't want to make something that's overtly kind of just thrown in your face and about facts and statistics. I wanted to make something that was relatable. And so that's kind of when I came up with the dark comedy concept of it. And I really initially did not know what to expect. I kind of thought that it would just be something I share with the group or something I share with, friends and family who might understand it. But once it came out, actually at the premiere of the film festival, I had women right after the festival coming up to me like, can you send this to my husband? And like, thank you so much. And like, I just got diagnosed and this is so helpful. So it has turned into something that I'm just so grateful for. And it feels so rewarding just to see how many women can relate and just laugh at it and really just truly feel like, okay, wow, I feel seen and heard.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Was this your first film?
This is my first film putting out there. I have written and produced other films that I'm kind of still pitching, but this was something that a body of work I wanted to put out there and have the festivals kind of run it.
Well, that's fantastic because it was, I thought, beautifully lit. It was beautifully shot. And honestly, the editor, that I feel like they get the most kudos. It was amazing overall, but the editor, the way they were able to cut between scenes and cut between shots where, it's you playing the other version of you. So, I mean, I just thought that was amazing to see, especially when you're laying on her lap and being able to, cut back and forth to when you rise up to see them. We're filmmaking geeks ourselves. So to be able to see that, it was really cool and a really great, first run out. So, I mean, kudos to you, and always remember that, every film is not going to be mass popularized. It's not going to be loved by mass audiences. Our first film was a very social justice project dealing with mental health, gun violence, interracial lesbian couple. It did not get received well by a lot of people in the country. But it's one of those things that we're still really proud of it, and filmmakers see the passion and the effort that we put into it, and the amount of love that we got means so much more than the amount of hate or discrimination that we got. So always keep that with you and keep moving forward to your next project, because I mean, things can get discouraging, but it's all about what it made you feel like. You create films for your creativity, and that's the most important thing. And I think he told an amazing story with Hell Week.
Oh, without doubt.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, you're right. When I was talking to a couple of nonprofit organizations about the script before I had made the film, I got a lot of discouragements about it, actually, because they didn't want, it's a tricky thing. They didn't want me to make fun of it or kind of make fun of the symptoms of people that have it. But I was like, I just knew, like, deep down, I'm like, it's going to find its audience, if this makes me laugh, and I have been in the thick of it, I know other women will be able to relate to it. And so it was discouraging in the moment, but I was like, you know what, I got to keep going. I got to trust this. And yeah, it worked out. And I think that's how all films will, they'll eventually find their audience. Oh,
without doubt. And for anybody out there who might not be familiar with it, making a film is not an easy thing to do to begin with. You're getting it made, getting it out there, and putting it for the world to see is not an easy task. And then when you couple that with making a film and putting it out there, and it's about something personal, it's about exposing yourself to something that you might not feel comfortable talking about, even more so the courageous aspect of doing that. But we talk about this a lot and commend you very much for it, because we feel like that's the purpose of art. If we can entertain, but also inform through art, That's the win-win. And if you can reach just one person through that, then you're accomplishing, you know, great things, because nobody wants to just sit down and talk about PMS. Oh my God, let's talk, you know. But when they're talking about a really creative movie and what they just watched, and then you know, then it rolls into the conversation of what it was about, and they didn't know this existed, kind of a thing. It's much easier to do that through art. And so when we have filmmakers like yourself who come out and say, okay, wow, 30,000 people. Who knew 30,000 other women were suffering from this? And yet here you are, and you put this out there. And I loved the concept of the two of you. It's an inner battle between what's going on and who's going to win. You know, am I going to be normal, or am I just going to like ruin your world this week? Oh, kind of a thing. I thought that was a really creative way to show it. And it also, because of what you said, one of the distinguishing factors is it's not you. When you're going through it, it is literally not you. You are not in your right mind. You are a different person in every sense of the word. So to portray it that way, I thought was a very creative way to tell the story. It's like, look, don't blame me. It's this person who's doing all that kind of stuff. And I think that cemented it to the people that were watching it, going, oh, okay, she's not herself. I get it now. So well done with that. It was a very creative way to tell the story and make it really understandable for guys that might not be clicking. You know, so it's like, oh, okay. So well done with that.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to show it's also like, you know, such an invisible illness and not taken seriously, even in the medical category. So I just really wanted to show this as a whole thing on its own. It's separate. It comes into someone's life, it wrecks things, and then it leaves.
That's a perfect way.
Most definitely. So I'm curious too, because like I said, we're filmmaking geeks. So from development to where you are now, how long did that take you?
So the script probably took me 4 to 5 months, and then we started filming the same year that I wrote the script. So it was really just probably a year.
Nice.
It was quick. Yeah, we had 3 filming days. And I didn't know anybody because I moved to LA, so I had no film crew. I kind of just like Googled everyone, looked on Instagram, hashtags. I put a team together, a team about 15 people, I think. And yeah, it worked out amazingly. So I got really, really lucky with so many creatives on this.
For sure. Yeah. Isn't it so nice too when it's like majority one location? Because you don't really have to go anywhere else. Like that apartment was perfect size to be able to move around. And I'm assuming the exterior shot when she's looking over her small balcony was also the same apartment as well. So to be able to, you know, use all the space that you are given and not have to continue, you know, looking for different places, because we also had one location. It was a school campus, but I mean that boy was extensive for the permits and to try to balance out their school schedules, because it was right when, I forget if it was right when finals were happening or that it was like summer camp or something like that. So yeah, I'm very happy for you. It seems like a very easygoing experience. Do you have any funny stories from set that made it memorable?
Not really. I felt like it was so smooth. I was almost in shock. Everyone kind of was like, oh my gosh, everything down to the crafty is like perfect, you know?
Yeah.
I think the audio guy was the only thing. Each day we had a different audio guy. And I was like, what's up with that? Like, we just had to keep filling them in. But other than that, it went so well. I'm so thankful. Everyone was almost like, okay, there's got to be something wrong here. Like, did we hit record? Like, what's going on? Everyone jived really well. So, yeah, I got very, very lucky with that.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. First of all, Logan, I just love, you know, the producer hat came on. It's like, oh my God, one location and budget and we don't want to get permits and all that kind of stuff. Hilarious. Because when you do a short film, especially an indie short film, you wear every hat. I mean, without doubt. And then the other question, it's so funny that you said the audio guy, because that is the one issue that we had. Our audio guy was like the second day he wasn't there. And we're like, the boom guy's like
overslept.
I can do it. I'm capable of doing it. It's like, okay, yeah, you're rolling, you're doing it. It's just like, so it's funny. It's like, is that a curse on short films, or the audio seems to be the issue? That is fantastic. So On the creative aspect, because you did not direct the film. Were you involved in the editing of the film, and did you always have the vision? I also thought it was very creative with the red lighting,
Yeah,
emphasizing Hell Week and what it is, and even the subtle blood on the sheets, kind of a thing. So was that always your vision? I'm going to use this red to signify what I'm talking about, not just hell, but we all know what the red signifies. And was that always your plan, and was that open with the editing process and your director of like the same creative vision?
Yeah, we knew that we wanted to use a lot of kind of lighting and like, because in that montage where she's kind of going through the manic episode, we wanted to really make it like kind of dream-like. And so we had brought a bunch of lights during that time. And the red was kind of a last minute thing because we had all the other colors that we were doing for the dancing scene. And then we're like, we kind of want to make it more spooky and creepy. And so we added that. We knew that we wanted it for when she had made her entrance in the during the date. So we wanted to keep it for that. And then later on during that scene, we brought it back. But that was kind of just added into it. A lot of things were actually added in the moment, which was fun. I have a really creative team, and my director's amazing, and she really helped me like nail the tone of it. Because in the beginning, it was like, okay, I want this, but I want that, and she was like, all right, we need to bring it all together so it gets the same tone. Because originally, I was thinking like, okay, maybe the demon should be like an actual demon, like completely red, and the cartoon kind of vibes. And she was like, I feel like maybe you want to dial it back a little bit and make it more of like, this crazy kind of Vegas girl vibes where like, where did she come from? Why does she look like that? We kind of wanted to make the audience work a little bit more for it. So the character evolved in what she looked like. And over time, it was just kind of turned into what it is. But there was a lot of going back and forth and last minute additions, definitely.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Yeah, because like down to the costume design for her specifically, I thought it was spot on because, your character is dressed in very normal clothes, very like chill and nice, presentable. But then, this extreme version of, Night at the Roxbury, let's go out, like kind of crazy. I love the wig and like the makeup with the eyes. That was phenomenal. So, I mean, like I said, everything about it, I feel like stuck out to a point to where you can start a conversation. I feel like that's what we do as filmmakers, right? To be able to start conversations, because like Dustin said, you don't just sit down and do this. But watching this with my fiance, we were able to have a 10-15 minute conversation before she went to work and like see how she related and things she took away from it. And I think that's what's the beauty of filmmaking in today's time, because one, we are in an initiative right now to make sure everybody is included, to make sure everybody plays their part, because there's so many talented men, women out there who, can do so much that we never really gave credit before in the past because of heterosexual Caucasian males. But to be able to finally put this out there and to have this creative vision with so many different people, I feel like is very special. So, I mean, kudos to you for that. But yeah, I'm very excited for everybody else to see it, because I'm going to be talking about this thing through the holidays, which is going to be a very interesting Christmas dinner conversation. So I'm just going to say that. But I just, I can't commend you and say kudos enough, because it's one of those things to where like throughout this process and throughout this journey of the mental health podcast, we have been able to open up about so many different things, even some things to where we as men are stepping outside of our boxes, which is very special. And specifically for me, because we did a parenting episode and I'm like, I don't fucking know. I'm like, I'm still on the other end of that. I don't have a child, but to be able to learn from that experience and be able to learn from your experience is so special. But I mean, what is one thing that you learned from this experience that you can take with you to other film sets that you create?
I really think it's just speaking your truth. And that's the first time that I had done that. Like I had put like in other scripts, maybe something similar to a situation or relationship I was part of. But this was the first time that I was really honest with myself and everyone else, because it was something that I didn't really scream from the rooftops,
Right.
was something that I kind of kept under wraps, or so I thought. Other people were like, oh yeah, no, I knew something was like off. But I thought I did my best. And I didn't really talk about it unless I needed to, like unless I was in a relationship. So I think just being completely honest with yourself and like letting go and having no reservations, that's something that I will definitely continue with my next film and the films after that, because you're rewarded in the end with all these people who have similar experiences and can just share that and just feel like they can relate to you. And to me, that's like what filmmaking is about, just getting other people to feel seen.
Yes,
exactly.
No, sorry. Look, we talk about that all the time. I think the difference between successful films and films that don't hit is the connectability. Can you connect with somebody in the film that you're watching? Have you related to that? Do you know somebody that's gone through that? And I always feel as writers that the more of you put into it, even if it is completely fictional, the more of you that you put into it, the more relatable it becomes and the more connectable it becomes to your audience. And there's where you're going to see that success. And yeah, it's great that because you're young, you're just getting started, you're just kind of, and to already be that far and understand that this is critical to my career and what I'm trying to do. Kudos to you, because I mean, a lot of people take a long time to figure it out. They're like, they listen to other people's opinions, or they're too not courageous enough to put themselves into the project and to do the different things. So to figure it out so young and know that this is where you're going, I think that's fantastic. What are the ambitions? What are the goals? Do you see yourself doing a feature? Do you want to direct? Where are you going after this?
I would like to do a feature. I don't know if that's necessarily something I end up doing. It would be cool to see. I just love the character, and I would like to see what she does with it. But I also would like to do television. I love just the fast format of TV, and so writing. I'd like to stay in the vein of dark comedy. To me, that's just like it's my favorite genre. I love Succession.
Oh, yes.
Great show.
Yes.
Love to write on a show like that. So yeah, I would like to continue writing, acting, producing. I kind of did out of default. It's something that I wasn't super nice about. But when you have so much of the vision in your head, you kind of have to be a part of every process of the creative decision. So if I have to, okay. But directing, I actually, it's funny because I feel like a lot of people enjoy directing. It's not something that I really care to do, though. I think it's also conflicts with acting. If I'm really focused on my acting and my character and my scene, it's hard to be able to direct that. And I think just having that other person there, seeing everything and seeing how this ties into this moment at the end is so important. And if I can have another set of eyes on it, I'm going to.
Oh yeah, completely agree. I am not the biggest fan of producing myself. I would much rather stay on the creative side. That's why we are a directing duo, and he handles that, I handle that. But we do intertwine and do what we got to do. But it's one of those things. But I mean, I'm just curious, and I mean, you talk about it, promote about it. But are you happy with the final project or the final product? Because I know. It really depends on the week for me if I'm happy with the final product. So I'm just always curious to ask other creators.
I am, yeah. I know that, there's always these little things you can go and fix. But it was just, I think the timing was perfect, and I feel like it couldn't have been better, honestly. In my eyes, I feel like we hit everything I wanted to hit, and I didn't want to give too much, and I wanted people to leave the theater feeling like, wow, either I completely entirely relate to that, or wait, what is that? I've never heard of that. Let me go look into this a little more.
Exactly.
So regardless, I wanted it to start a conversation and just spark some kind of an interest, and I feel like it has. And so I'm like, okay, I did it. My job's done.
Do you feel weight lifted off your shoulders?
Yes. And honestly, also just in the regards of, me having PMDD, it's a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. I don't have to kind of dance around it anymore. Right. And now it's anyone that dates me, like, hey, you already know. Okay.
Exactly.
You already know. Go watch the show if you really don't. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, that's amazing. And and now it's out there. And art is interpretive. So you know, the what you might think about it today, you might not think about it tomorrow. Right? It could be a totally different interpretation of where you're at when you view it 10 years from now. And that's the beauty of art. Once it's out there, it's out there. And, it's for anybody to interpret any way they want to. But you have been an absolute delight to talk to. I think you're extremely courageous for coming forward and putting your personal self out there, because it's not always easy to do. I think you're just a fantastic young filmmaker. You seem to have it all together on where you're going with your path and what you're trying to do there. And yeah, we love talking to like-minded people who understand what it's all about and are courageous enough to come on and talk and help other people, because this conversation and your film will help other people. And anytime we can do that, we love to be able to do that. So thank you just so much for joining us and coming on and talking to us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you for having me and for giving me a platform to talk about it and just spread more awareness.
Oh, for sure.
Always. And, it's all about social media. So where can people find you and where can people find the film?
Yes. So the film is not online at the moment. It's doing festivals still. So
Fantastic.
after the festivals are done, then I will have it online. But I'm sharing updates and screenings on my Instagram is at Mirejah, Mirejah. And then I actually just launched my own podcast days ago.
Fantastic.
That's on Spotify, and it's called She's Come Undone. And the first and only episode is about Hell Week and kind of dives more into the relationship aspect.
Nice. Fantastic. Yeah, we'll promote that everywhere and be able to share the crap out of it, because, it's all about promoting and helping other people break into it and get more exposure. We found that throughout our years, and I'm very excited about your future and about your journey. So again, thank you so much, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you so much. It was so great chatting.
All right. Take care now.
Oh man, what a conversation, and stepping out of our comfort zone. Goodness gracious. But
just a little bit.
I mean, that it is a little bit, but I just feel like, I'm super excited for the mass audiences to see it, because it is in film festivals right now, but it is a really well done film. And I feel like a lot of women specifically will be able to relate to that and to be able to open up the door to conversations to their significant others.
Yeah, because, we're in a unique situation because we're coming at it from every angle, right? We've both been at it with a significant other, a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a wife. I'm coming at it from a dad that's had to experience it with a daughter, and you at some point will have to be doing that too. So to open that conversation to men and have men talk about it and go, hey, we're a part of this too. We're in this whole jive. I'm going to go get Taco Bell and, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I think that it's wonderful that these type platforms and, this type outlet to have people be able to do that is fantastic. And I love when we come out of the comfort zone and be like, we'll talk about PMS. No problem.
Yeah, no problem. Nothing whatsoever. But man, oh man, it was a great conversation, and we're so happy to have Miss Cruz on. And be sure to follow her everywhere, and be sure to wait on Hell Week. If you follow her, I'm sure she'll be posting updates and things like that. But this is the last episode of EOP for 2023. It's been an amazing year to step out of our comfort zone and to be able to talk to all these amazing individuals about these deep and darker and closed off topics that we've been able to give more exposure to. So that's been an amazing experience. Like we say all the time, it's like our free therapy session to be able to put out there. And it's been a very positive response. So we're thankful for everybody that listened, and thankful for everybody who sent kind words and all the good things. So thank you again. And remember, in 2023 and continuing in 2024, everything's okay.